It's 11:52 at night and you're not checking your phone because you want to. You're checking it because 40 minutes ago you tried to pay for gas and the pump stopped at $14 and you told yourself it was a glitch. It was not a glitch. Your screen is $218. Not after bills, not after rent, $218. That is everything. That is the whole number. That is what exists between you and nothing right now. On a Tuesday, in a gas station parking lot with the engine still running because you didn't want to go back inside and explain anything to anyone. You are 25 years old. You have a job. You have a salary. You have a direct deposit that hits every other Friday and it is already gone before it arrives. Mentally spent on the Thursday before it lands. Allocated in your head to the credit card minimum, to the phone bill, to the rent that went up $130 in April and which you paid without negotiating because you didn't know you could negotiate, and also because the idea of your landlord saying no felt worse than the $130. You have a salary and you have $218, and both of those things are true at the same time, and that is the specific confusion of this level. You are not poor in the way that word gets used. You are not asking for help. You are just running a number that cannot absorb anything unexpected, and life is entirely unexpected. This is what zero actually feels like. Not the dramatic version, not the cinematic version where something breaks open and a lesson arrives. Just a low, constant arithmetic. Running underneath every decision. Every grocery run is a calculation. Every dinner invitation is a calculation. Every time someone in a group chat suggests splitting an Uber, you already know the answer before your thumbs move. You have been doing this math for so long and so quietly that you no longer notice you are doing it. It is just how thought works at this altitude. The calculation is the air. You are always already breathing it. The first rule. At zero, money is not a resource. It is the atmosphere. You cannot think clearly about it because you are inside it. And being inside it means every decision you make is downstream of scarcity. And scarcity does something to judgment the way pressure does something to sound. It changes the shape of everything passing through it. You cut something, you cut the streaming service, the one you actually use, not the one your ex's cousin is still paying for. You meal prep on Sundays, same 4 ingredients for 9 weeks. You stop going to the bar. You stop going to the dinners that are framed as casual but always end with someone suggesting you split the bill evenly and the bill is $74 a person and you had the $14 pasta and 1 drink. You stop saying yes to things and you start saying you're busy. And busy is true enough that you don't feel dishonest saying it. You put $500 in a savings account. You feel something when you do it. Not pride exactly. More like the faint sensation of a direction change. You watch the balance for 2 weeks. You don't touch it. Then your car needs a repair that the mechanic describes as non-negotiable, which is the most expensive word in the English language, and the estimate is $780. And you transfer the $500 back, and you put the remaining $280 on the credit card, and you start again from zero. Literally zero. The savings account balance is $0, and the credit card is $280 heavier. And the car is fixed and nothing else has changed. This is not failure. This is the current. Zero has a current and it runs against you, and most people spend years swimming against it before they realize swimming is not the strategy. The strategy is to build something that moves with you, but you cannot see that from inside the water. From inside the water, you can only see the next stroke. Here is what nobody tells you about being broke in your 20s when you have a job and a salary and technically no excuse. Nobody tells you how loud it is. Not loud in the room, loud in the head, the constant low frequency noise of the math that never fully resolves. You are at a birthday dinner and someone is telling a story that is genuinely funny and you are laughing at the right moments, and underneath that you are calculating whether you can cover your portion without using the card, or whether you use the card and pay it off Friday, or whether Friday is already gone. Both things are happening simultaneously. The laugh is real, the math is also real, You are fluent in two languages at once and only one of them is visible. The second rule: the noise of scarcity is not volume, it is frequency. It runs under everything, under the conversations, under the sleep, under the version of yourself you present to other people. You don't talk about it because nobody talks about it at this level, but everybody at this level is running the same frequency. You're never as alone in the math as the silence makes you feel. You get a raise, not a large one, $4,800 a year before taxes, which arrives in your account as $267 extra per month. You feel it for about 2 weeks. You make one decision that feels like relief, a slightly better version of something you've been buying the cheap version of for 3 years. Then the electric bill is higher than usual. Then your phone screen cracks and the repair is $189. Then your roommate tells you she's moving out in 6 weeks and the apartment costs $340 more without her. And the $267 disappears into those three things so completely that by month 3 you cannot identify where it went. This is not a mystery. This is the first law of zero. Expenses expand to fill whatever space you create for them, not because you are careless. Because zero has no buffer and a budget with no buffer is just a list of things you're hoping won't happen. But something is also shifting, quietly. Underneath the noise, you start paying attention differently, not to the spending itself, but to the pattern underneath the spending. You notice that the credit card balance never moves in one direction for more than 3 weeks before reversing. You notice that you have paid the minimum payment on a $2,100 balance for 11 months and the balance is $2,040. You do the math on that. Really do it. Sit with what it means. $60 of actual progress in 11 months. The rest paid to the rate. Something about that number, the specific smallness of $60 lands differently than all the general advice ever did. It is not a lesson. It is a cost. And now you can see it clearly. You do something you have not done before. You stop paying the minimum. You pay $340 one month, $290 the next, $410 the month after that, a month where you eat at home every single night and decline a trip that everyone else goes on and feel the friction of that decision in the group chat for 2 weeks. And then one afternoon in November, you make a transfer and the balance goes to zero. You take a screenshot. You do not send it to anyone. There is nobody in your life who would understand what this screenshot means. Not the number. The decision inside the number. The fact that a financial outcome happened because you chose it rather than because life simply moved around you. That is not a small distinction. That is where everything that comes after begins. The third rule, the gap between broke and stable, is not income. It is the first time you make a financial decision that moves in the direction you chose and you do not let the next unexpected thing erase it. Not because nothing unexpected happens, because you built a small buffer and the buffer absorbed it and you kept going. $4,000 in savings. You're 27. You check it on a Saturday morning and the number is there and it doesn't feel the way you expected it to feel. You expected relief. What you feel is closer to disbelief. You have been at zero so long that having a number with 4 digits in a savings account feels structurally wrong, like a glitch, like something that will be corrected shortly. You check it again on Sunday. It is still there. You let it sit. You open a Roth IRA. You contribute $150 a month. It feels almost absurd. $150 a month feels like an amount that couldn't possibly accumulate into anything real. You are wrong about this in a way you will not fully understand for several years. You start reading. Not content, not thumbnails with red arrows. Books. Dense, slow books about how capital actually moves, about index funds and expense ratios and the difference between building wealth and managing a salary. The information is not secret. None of it is secret. It was always available. But at zero, you cannot hear it. The frequency is wrong. The noise of the math running underneath everything is too constant, too close. It is only now, with $4,000 sitting in an account you are not touching, that the signal starts to come through. This is what shifts, not the account balance, the signal to noise ratio. For the first time in your adult financial life, you can hear something other than the arithmetic of survival. And what you hear, faintly at first, is the arithmetic of direction. You're not out, not yet. The $4,000 is not a destination. The Roth IRA is not a plan. They are the first two pieces of evidence that a different system is possible. And that is all you need. Not certainty. Evidence. The smallest possible proof that the current is not fixed, that it can be redirected, that you can build something that moves with you instead of spending all your energy fighting what moves against you. The noise doesn't disappear overnight. You still do the math at dinner. You still feel the weight of an unexpected expense differently than someone with a real buffer would. But there is something underneath the noise now, something that wasn't there before. A low, steady, almost imperceptible signal that the direction has changed, that the math, for the first time, is running the other way. That signal is the beginning, not of wealth, not of freedom, of a different relationship with money, one where it is slowly, painstakingly becoming a tool instead of the atmosphere, where you are beginning, for the first time, to exist slightly outside of it rather than entirely within it. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't arrive with a number that feels significant or a moment that feels earned. It arrives on a Saturday morning when you check a balance that is still there, when nothing broke, when the month ended and the buffer held and the direction didn't reverse. That is what zero actually feels like on the way out. Not dramatic, not cinematic, just a number that finally, quietly, moves the right way because